It's all good. You're doing great. I appreciate
Let me
it.
go by you, please.
It's fine. I appreciate it.
Brian Kamaker, he's the president of MassResistance. He's not a Christian, but he is one of the most vocal advocates for Christians. He started MassResistance in 1993 when his kids were bringing home some of the most obscene sex ed lessons: anal sex, oral sex, homosexuality, transgenderism. This was 30 years ago in Massachusetts. So this has been subversive for decades. MassResistance has been fighting this LGBT agenda for over 30 years. We don't hold back from telling the truth, the whole truth about this agenda. We don't compromise. You have to go after all of it. Very briefly, I mean, today's about Charlie Kirk above all, but I mean, he's the central theme, but it connects with what MassResistance does for sure. This year, we caused an international firestorm yet again. We are rigorously opposed to the Obergefell decision that was forced upon us 10 years ago, redefining a fundamental institution of society, pushing same-sex marriage upon us. So, well, a lot of pro-family groups are kind of tinkering around the edges, protect religious liberty, don't push it on the kids. We want to go right to the heart of the matter. No, two men cannot marry. No, two women cannot marry. This is a falsehood. Yeah, absolutely, you should clap for that. And you shouldn't be canceled for saying that. It's becoming so difficult to even say that now. It's easy to speak against transgenderism, but nobody wants to say two men shouldn't marry. No, that's perverse, and no, you shouldn't deprive a child of a mom and a dad. So we said, you know what, we want to get legislatures on record to tell the Supreme Court to reverse the decision. It's a mere resolution that we introduced. We started in Idaho, the most conservative state in the union, and we had a great state rep, Heather Scott, and she said, I'll run it. And it's incredible the amount of pushback. This is Idaho, a very red state. And even then, there was pushback, but she carried it. We passed it in the state house. It was held in the state senate. There are still rhinos even in red states. This resolution was introduced in Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma. Some of you may have heard of Dusty Devers, Senator Devers. He carried our resolution. He says, give it to me, I'll take it. He even got 25 co-sponsors in the state senate. But the majority leader said, we don't really want to run that, it's too controversial. And she sat on it for the year. It's going to come back next year. We've got a lot of momentum. Kim Davis's case, I think, will be heard by the Supreme Court, so it is germane. That's some of the excuses that some of the legislators have made. Well, it's not an issue, nobody's talking about this. Well, you should be. And that's where MassResistance has really stepped in. Another project we're very focused on is the schools. We've got to clean up everything. A lot of the movement right now is get rid of some bad books, get rid of the pride flag. That's okay. But the whole thing needs to change. You've got woke at every level, and you've got these awful people who are bringing it in. You got to get rid of the librarians, the teachers, the administrators who are pushing this garbage. And why don't we have like a positive vision? Winston Churchill, when he was a kid, was learning ancient Greek, and he was writing poetry. And this is what he was learning in public education. And now kids are learning which gender they are, of the 36, or they're learning about Harvey Milk. Something's very wrong here. We have like a big vision with that. Now, all of this very much ties to Charlie Kirk. I'm really honored. I can't thank you enough, Scott. Thanks for bringing me here and allowing me to speak. September 10th, someone texted me a video. It looked like it was a picture of Charlie Kirk very far away, and then there was a gunshot, and he slumped. And I'm thinking, what is this AI nonsense? This must be some fever dream from leftists. What is this? I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was AI. And then within a few minutes, I'm getting text messages. I'm seeing the news. Holy shit, pardon me. It's like, holy shit, Charlie Kirk's been shot. And then we all saw, within 2 minutes, he was dead. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I was just absolutely shocked. No, this couldn't be, I guess in a way I'm still kind of in the denial phase. I mean, this was just horrible. I mean, this guy, sometimes it doesn't feel like he's dead. You see his statements, his dialogues, his town halls. I see them every day now on Instagram, on social media. It's like, no, he can't be dead. But when I saw the picture of Erica, his wife, draped over his coffin, and you see the hands. Oh my God, this is real. He's gone. I mean, it's just like horrible. I was talking to Sandy at Twyla's birthday, and I was kind of remarking about this. She's lived 95 years, and she's already planning for 100. I'm hoping for 120. The Bible gives us 120. I'm hoping for that. And I think she's going to get there. And I'm thinking, look, she gets to be 95, and Charlie's cut out at 31. But there was this silver lining. It's turned more into a silver surface, into a silver globe of all of the consequences, the outcomes of this. I mean, it's horrible that he's dead, but you see all the people across the globe, especially in the U.S., all these people are saying, I'm going to church for the first time. You have people who are like, drug addicts or gangbangers. You have people who identify as gay or trans, and they're like, I'm going to church for the first time. And I went to church, and people didn't judge me. They didn't hate me. I got to hear the good news. I know that Charlie is happy about this. And notice I speak in the present tense, because it's not death, it's just sleep. When you know you have a living Savior. But I always want to write remarks down, but I never want to read from them totally, because I like being able to see all of you. Man, this is great, Scott. All these people. Almost standing room. It is standing room only. There's Rick. But really briefly, too, I better segue into this. Charlie Kirk, how committed he was to President Trump and to this Trump, MAGA, America First, Christ First agenda is really stunning. I'll just get the elephant in the, well, we're all elephants in the room, so to speak, but, I got to tell you, after Trump's first term, I kind of soured on him. I started liking what Governor DeSantis was doing. I loved the pro-family policies. He was really good on the gun rights. He was cleaning up the schools, and I thought, maybe Trump can step aside, let DeSantis take over. Obviously, DeSantis didn't make it. I had my reservations. I was this close. I was going to write in DeSantis in the November election, because I didn't want to have Trump 1.0 a second time. Tax cuts, but no wall, and we just have like moderate decline instead of hastened decline. But then J.D. Vance came in. And God bless Trump, because that was a brilliant move. That's what said, I'm going to vote for him again. Because J.D. Vance hated Trump. Don't forget that. He did not vote for Trump, I think, either, in the first two elections. So I'm like, wow, Trump is willing to put the nation ahead of his own ego. People are always like complaining about how arrogant he is. But like J.D. Vance was like one of his biggest detractors. And now he's on the ticket. And J.D. Vance is fantastic. I mean, he is so articulate. He is so down to earth. He really cares about people. He's a real family man, a lot like Charlie Kirk. There's such a parallel there. And so I voted for Trump, and I'm glad I did. You can rest assured I'm glad. One of the articles I wrote for Town Hall, I had no problem, mea culpa. 6 months later, I stand corrected. Trump, it's just incredible what he's done. Trump 2.0, T1000, whatever you want to call him. I mean, this is everything we voted for. The wall is I think we are going to get it finished this time. He started building it, now it's going to get finished. I was just talking to James. The gun rights moves. This is incredible. Never forget, Ronald Reagan was for gun control. Even he as a conservative was like kind of iffy on the Second Amendment. But here we got Trump. He's like corrected the mistakes, surrounds himself with perfect people. He is just aggressively advancing this agenda. He hasn't settled for 100 days and then decline. For Trump, it's every 100 days. It's like there's a new victory, there's growing energy, there's growing achievements. He hasn't slowed down. That is really impressive. And there's a seminal person who made a lot of this possible, and that's Charlie Kirk. I really don't think we can underestimate the role that he played in getting Trump into that second 4-year term. Now I can really focus on Charlie. So, unlike some of you, I never got to see him debate in person. I never went to a town hall or any of his conventions. But I did get to meet him at one convention. It was Politicon 2017. I had no idea who the guy was. I mean, I had recognized him a little bit. I was at one of the sign-in tables, and then I saw him, and we looked at each other briefly, and I said, you look familiar. Who are you? This is me, like how out of touch I am, right? My name is Charlie, he says. I'm with TPUSA. Nothing big, nothing brash, nothing like, how come you don't know me? How could you not know me? That's not the kind of thing you got from the guy. And I said, oh yeah, I remember you were on the colleges, you're speaking out to kids and, trying to get, people to be more conservative. I took a photo with him. And I've been really pleased. That's a photo I've been able to share with some of the eulogies that have been printed. American Thinker printed what I wrote, so did American Greatness. They're going to actually print it tomorrow. I have another article that's going to be printed in Town Hall. You get it first, in a way. What I'm sharing with you is what I wrote. A lot of people have said a lot of really positive things about Charlie. They see what a great debater he is, a great organizer, his campaign strategies, the campaign apparatus was incredible. There were school board candidates like Becky Langenwalter. She's now on the Norwalk-Lamarl School District. She was telling me about this, saying, look, TPUSA is helping people campaign. It's like, wow, they're getting stuff done. This isn't just like a debate society anymore. It's gotten bigger. But I have to admit, initially I was kind of critical of TPUSA. It seemed like it was just like a libertarian kind of thing, free market, socialism is bad. And for me, I'm very much a social conservative. That's a very key agenda for me. And a lot of us in Mass Resistance, we were even a little critical. And it's within that framework. It might seem kind of strange, but I think you can really see how great somebody is, not just when they shine in good moments, but how they're able to overcome challenging times or even their most embarrassing. And so I want to focus on one of those events. I hope you don't mind. It's not going to remain in the negative. It really shows what a strong leader, messenger, culture warrior that he was. I remember it was 2019. He had a program, it was called Culture War. So he's going to the different universities, right? And he's engaging with these left-wing students. But for me, it was a little troubling because Charlie, and this was partly because of the donors at the time, he's learning, he's growing, he was having out homosexuals with him. He would have openly gay conservatives, quote unquote, like one guy named Rob Smith. And this was a real problem because Rob Smith voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. What is he doing here with the culture war? This isn't winning the culture war, Charlie. So I was very critical at the time. And so there he was, it's 2019, the Ohio State University. But there's another problem. So there's not just, he's not strong enough on these issues, but we've had this issue and it's starting to metastasize a little more. You've got some conservatives, Tucker Carlson. There's some stuff he's starting to talk about that I don't really care for. And then Candace Owens, what happened to that chick, right? Yeah. Well, some of those people took over the town hall. And they started blasting Charlie Kirk. They started going after him about Israel. They started bashing him about that, which is pretty dirty. On the other hand, there were two things that they called him out on. The first thing, of course, is why are you platforming a gay conservative? How is homosexuality conservative? We keep ceding territory to the left. Those were some of the more respectable people who challenged him. And you know what? He was caught off guard, and I think rightfully so. The second challenge that I really liked, this guy was very respectful. And he said, Mr. Kirk, how is it America first to advocate for foreign students to come to American universities, and then you staple green cards to their diplomas, edging out American students who are struggling with student loan debt, finding work, trying to build a family? How is that America first? Because Charlie Kirk was advocating for things like that. But what I liked about it was Charlie Kirk did not say, shut up. He didn't say, sit down, leftist, racist. No, he engaged with the guy. And he said, okay, look, I think we should have the best and the brightest here, but I'm against sanctuary cities. I don't want open borders. We got to build the wall. We got to crack in the sanctuary cities. But you could see as he was engaging with this guy, he was wrong. That's a position you can't hold if you want to do America first. I'm not hating on foreign nationals. We have foreigners here. We have immigrants here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for making America great again, too. The next day, Charlie Kirk abandoned that position. He said, I'm wrong. How many times have you seen an influencer say, I was wrong, I'm changing my mind? Tucker Carlson didn't apologize when he condemned Trump for bombing Iran's nuclear capabilities. Tucker didn't apologize. Shame on him. Thank you, President Trump, for taking out Iran's nuclear capabilities.
Yeah, really?
Yes. And you know what? We haven't heard Marjorie Taylor Greene apologize when she accuses Israel of genocide. That's really offensive. How dare you? But Charlie Kirk, he held strong.
on every issue. And on the LGBT stuff, he really tightened up. Like I said, I didn't go to any of the town halls, didn't have a chance to. But his last book, Right Wing Revolution, I strongly encourage you to read that. He has such a spirit. He has such a vision. Reminds me of DeSantis. Reminds me of what Trump is doing now. Charlie Kirk was saying, we need to fight for marriage again. One man and one woman. Wow. He wrote this. He talks about this. No offense, but I don't hear Tucker Carlson talking about that, or Candace Owen. I don't hear Jack Posobiec talking about it, but Charlie Kirk did. I remember one, if there's any town halls, I always saw them on a video. I loved one exchange. There was a young man, I don't know which school it was. And the guy steps up to the podium, he's a conservative, and he says, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm a gay conservative, and I want to know where is my place in the movement, because gay people need to know that they have a choice. And how Charlie Kirk handled it was so good. He said, first of all, welcome, love the person, didn't condemn the person, but then he says, stop identifying with your feelings. That's not who you are. You're a person. I'm like, I've waited so long for a conservative, a big influencer to say something like that. Finally, that's where we have been, MassResistance. We have been there for years. You don't treat sexual brokenness as an identity. And that leads to something else. Whoa, Charlie Kirk. He was not afraid to touch a very, very taboo subject. Even the Mises Institute talks about this. We got to rethink the whole civil rights program. This kind of scares people. Just bear with me. Charlie Kirk didn't say, it's okay, let's put people in the back of the bus. That's not it at all. The issue he pointed out, for starters, this is a very tough subject, and he was willing to talk about this with students. This is a very difficult subject. Rand Paul, when he first ran for U.S. Senate, he's a libertarian, right? Get rid of all the government, scale it back. He just started out with, we need to repeal the Civil Rights Act. And right away he was hit with the thunderstorm of condemnation, right? And he had to back off. George Will stepped in, he's a libertarian, right? And George Will was like, Senator Paul, candidate Paul, needs to understand, he's running for U.S. Senate, he's not running a seminar on libertarian theory. But Charlie Kirk was able to say, the Civil Rights Act has been turned into a weapon that lets men into women's restrooms, sports, facilities. The Civil Rights Act has enabled the whole DEI cult, which creates disparities as proof of discrimination. And what have we seen? It's caused nothing but racial animus. Forget about the Democrat or Republican, but Barry Goldwater, God bless the guy. Some of you probably voted for Barry. He was your first vote. He was a Republican, a real conservative, a limited government guy. He voted against the Civil Rights Act. Oh my God, he must be a racist. No chance. He helped to found the NAACP in Phoenix. So there's not a racist bone in his body. But he pointed out, this is not going to end invidious discrimination. It's going to make it worse. Because government, when it gets involved, it discriminates really badly. See, this is a tough discussion. It's a little highbrow, but see, Charlie was able to have this discussion. This is big stuff. Not civil rights. We got to get back to natural rights. And this is exactly what the framers of the Constitution talked about. This is in the Declaration of Independence. Our rights come from God. They're not from the government. If you start talking about stuff from the government, then you're in big trouble, because the government can take it away. And something else too I loved about Charlie Kirk. You could see how energetic he was, how confident he was, how optimistic he was. And he just articulated that so well. This has been a problem for the conservative movement. Ever since the Cold War ended, it just seems like we get used to just slow and steady decline. The left wins an inch, we fight, and then we give up. Then the left wins a mile, we fight, and then we give up. But Charlie Kirk said, we need to stop doing that. We need to take back territory that we've lost. I don't hear a lot of politicians talking like that. I don't hear a lot of activists talking like that. In his book, he said, conservatives, you've got to get out of this loser mentality. He quoted a somewhat controversial conservative, Sam Francis. I don't endorse everything about that guy when you look him up. But Sam Francis, he wrote a book called Beautiful Losers. And he says conservatives just keep losing. The left keeps taking over the institutions and the right just throws up their hands and quits. Or they just accept it or try to manage it. But Charlie Kirk went further. He said, look folks, we are winning. Look at the pro-life movement. Roe versus Wade is gone. And sure, a couple of states, they passed some perverse constitutional amendments. But now those same states are starting to reverse those. It's like the pro-life movement didn't quit. They're moving further. They're moving faster. Like I said to James Vaughn earlier, look at the Second Amendment. We've got like almost 30 states now have constitutional carry. President Trump has been a premier advocate on gun rights. I mean, look, we're winning territory now. And that's the attitude we need to start having. And Charlie Kirk really embodied that. It's no surprise that the left wanted to take him out. But they failed, didn't they? As the opening prayer shared, you killed one Charlie Kirk, now you've created millions. And Mass Resistance is happy to carry on that fight. I am so glad that he lived, had such a broad worldwide influence, and it's still going. And I'm so glad that I got to be one more person who could speak on his behalf. I really appreciate you again letting me speak. Thank you so much, everybody, and God bless you all. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.